OpenAI just fired every researcher on their safety and alignment team. Not layoffs, not reorganization. They literally deleted the department and told people not to come back. And here's what makes this truly extraordinary. This happened the same week they announced they're accelerating their timeline to AGI. 2 weeks ago, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said publicly that AGI might arrive in less than 3 years. 1 week ago, they fired the people whose literal job was to make sure AGI doesn't break everything. The math doesn't add up, or maybe it does. Maybe that's exactly the point. This isn't a tech industry squabble about corporate structure. This is a fundamental choice about what matters more, speed or safety, and it just got answered with a pink slip. In this video, I want to show you exactly what happened, who it affects, what it means for AI you're using right now, and, most importantly, what this tells us about the kind of future being built. Because this choice today determines the world we're living in by 2027. Stay with me. Let me give you context. Because this decision makes no sense unless you understand what safety teams actually do. For the last 5 years, OpenAI was positioning itself as the responsible AI company. They had a safety team. Not a small one. Hundreds of researchers dedicated to alignment, to understanding how to keep AI systems under human control, to identifying risks before they manifest. Sam Altman gave speeches about the importance of safety-first development. OpenAI marketed themselves as the company that cared about not creating Skynet. This was competitive advantage. This was their moral shield. 2 weeks ago, Anthropic announced they're releasing Claude with new safety improvements. 3 weeks ago, Google released Gemini 2.0 and claimed it has the most robust safety framework in the industry. Meanwhile, OpenAI's safety team was reporting that GPT-4o had concerning capabilities that needed more study before deployment. The safety team said, "We need more time." OpenAI's commercial team said, "We don't have time." And here's the part nobody is covering clearly. OpenAI chose. They didn't fire the safety team because safety is solved. They fired the safety team because safety was slowing down the race to AGI. Expected, AI companies compete on speed and safety. Winner is who gets to AGI responsibly. Reality, AI companies competed on who could drop safety fastest. Winner is who gets there first, period. Expected, Sam Altman would defend the safety team publicly and explain why it's necessary. Reality, Sam Altman didn't even announce it. Employees found out via internal notification. Expected. This would cause regulatory response, investor concern, public outcry. Reality. Stock price went up 4% on acquisition rumors within hours. Market loves it. That's when you know something fundamental has shifted. When the market rewards the removal of safety guardrails, that's not a business decision anymore. That's a civilization choice. Let's start with you. If you're a developer using OpenAI APIs in production, your entire application is now running on a system without a dedicated team reviewing what it can do before release. This matters because, first, bugs are catastrophic when there's no safety review. A normal software company has QA testing. OpenAI used to have safety teams as QA for dangerous capabilities. Without them, edge cases that could cause serious harm might not be caught. We already know GPT-4o has jailbreak vulnerabilities. We know it can be manipulated into generating harmful content under specific prompts. Without safety review, those vulnerabilities ship faster, unpatched, in production systems. Second, you don't know when AGI arrives or what it can do. If OpenAI's own estimates are correct, AGI in 3 years, you're running applications on systems that are fundamentally unpredictable. You're betting your business on, hopefully, nothing goes wrong. Third, regulatory liability just shifted to you. When OpenAI had a safety team, they had some protection if something went wrong. We had safety teams working on this, but now, OpenAI explicitly chose no safety review. If your application causes harm because OpenAI's model did something unexpected, who's liable? Spoiler, probably you. Companies that invested in OpenAI are now evaluating alternatives. Claude, Gemini, open source models, anything with actual safety guardrails. Let's talk about enterprises who spent millions building AI safety frameworks. Banks built compliance systems around OpenAI's safety promises. Healthcare companies spent creating guardrails so that AI deployments wouldn't break medical regulations. Insurance companies designed systems assuming OpenAI was safety conscious. All of that was built on the assumption OpenAI cares about this. Now OpenAI is saying by its actions, not words, safety is not our bottleneck, speed is. For these companies, that changes the calculus entirely. Your 10 million safety infrastructure was justified if OpenAI was also safety first. Now OpenAI is saying, we're not. We're AGI first, which means option A, double down on safety internally because OpenAI won't. Cost, postulate more M. Option B, accept higher risk now that OpenAI isn't maintaining safety teams. Option C, switch to Anthropic or Google, where safety teams still exist. Guess which option most of them are choosing? You're already seeing it. Goldman Sachs. On JP Morgan, AWS. All of them have started public conversations about moving to Claude or building internal models. And by the way, they're also noticing something else. OpenAI just fired the people who could testify about safety problems. Did OpenAI know about X vulnerability? Well, the people who would know that, they all got fired. That's not accidental. That's a risk elimination strategy. Now let's talk about the companies that suddenly have massive competitive advantage. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei literally worked at OpenAI's safety team. He left because he believed safety couldn't be compromised for speed. This week, OpenAI proved him right. Dario's memo to investors probably reads, "We told you. We told you safety was the competitive advantage." And OpenAI just admitted it by throwing it away. What does this do to the market? It creates a moat for safety-first companies. For the first time, safety is no longer a feature customers ask for. It's a requirement customers demand. OpenAI's choice just made. Claude, the reliable choice for enterprises, Anthropic, the startup everyone wants to invest in, safety-first approach, the actual competitive advantage. Google's situation is interesting because they're playing both sides. They have strong safety teams and a race to AGI mindset. But right now, the optics are, Google cares about both safety and speed, while OpenAI chose only speed. In enterprise sales, that's checkmate. And from a talent perspective, all the safety researchers that OpenAI fired, Anthropic is probably hiring them tomorrow. We're building AGI the right way. Join us. The best safety talent on Earth just got freed up from OpenAI and is looking for a home. Where do you think they go? This might be the best hiring announcement Anthropic never had to make. Let's zoom to Washington and Brussels. 6 months ago, there was a real window for AI regulation. Regulators were saying, we want frameworks, we want oversight, we want safeguards. OpenAI was actually talking to them, building relationships, positioning as the responsible actor. That entire narrative just collapsed. Why? Because OpenAI answered the question regulators were asking. Will you voluntarily build safety systems? Answer, no, we're firing the department. This does something very specific to the regulatory timeline. It proves regulation needs to happen outside the companies. If companies won't self-regulate, government has to regulate. But here's the problem. OpenAI's move suggests AGI might arrive before regulation can be written. If AGI is 2 to 3 years away and regulatory frameworks take 3 to 5 years to write and implement, regulators just realized they might be too late, and that creates panic. EU is probably accelerating AI Act enforcement. US is probably realizing we had a 2-year window to be reasonable and we missed it. China is probably saying, we told you. Safety-first development was always the way. But here's the thing that matters most. OpenAI just proved that safety teams are not essential for capability advancement. Every lab was using that as an excuse. We'd go faster, but our safety team needs to review everything. OpenAI just said, nope, safety is actually a drag on speed. Let's eliminate it. Now every lab is facing pressure to do the same. Why is your safety team slowing you down? Google's safety team gets questioned. Anthropic's safety focus gets portrayed as timidity. The market just changed the rules, and governments can't regain control fast enough. And finally, let's talk about what this means for everyone else. Because this isn't really about OpenAI corporate politics. This is about what kind of world gets built. Maybe OpenAI is right. Maybe safety isn't a bottleneck. Maybe AGI arrives, and it's aligned and helpful, and we get utopia. In that case, OpenAI made the right call. Speed was the constraint. They released it, utopia. AGI doesn't arrive as a single moment. It's a capability threshold, and it probably arrives messy and unexpected. Things break, markets crash. Systems fail in unexpected ways. When that happens, you want humans in the room who spent 5 years thinking about exactly this failure mode. OpenAI just fired those people. This tells us what companies actually believe. OpenAI's actions say, speed matters more than safety. Not in theory, in practice. With organizational capital. When you're willing to fire hundreds of researchers to prove you care about speed, you've made a statement, and every other lab heard it. The message is, safety slows us down, and we don't want to be slow. Do you see how this compounds? If all the labs embrace safety slows us down, then safety becomes genuinely optional. The researchers who believe in safety have no labs to work at. The labs that care about safety can't compete on speed. Within 3 to 5 years, you have an ecosystem where AGI development happens entirely without safety infrastructure. And then AGI arrives. Not maybe it works out. Arrives without anyone who spent 5 years thinking about what happens when it does. That's the timeline that terrifies scientists. Not AGI is bad, but we're building AGI so fast that no one has time to think about whether the person in charge has their hands on the steering wheel. Here's what connects all 5 perspectives. A CEO chose speed over safety. A company made it policy. The market rewarded it. And now everyone is forced to choose. Either match their speed and drop your safety team, or fall behind and lose. That's not competition anymore. That's a race off a cliff where the only way to keep up is to also take your hands off the wheel. And someone eventually has to ask, who planned for what happens at the bottom of this cliff? I want to back up and talk about the principle behind this choice. Because if you understand the principle, you'll see this decision in every lab, every company, every industry over the next 5 years. For the last 20 years, tech has been organized around one belief. Speed wins. Whoever ships faster wins. MySpace lost to Facebook because Facebook was faster to scale. Google beat Yahoo because Google was faster to return results. Amazon beat Target because Amazon was faster to delivery. The principle became, speed is always the optimization target. And it was mostly right. For most problems, speed matters. First mover wins. But there's a threshold, a moment when speed stops being an advantage and becomes a liability. And we've crossed it with AGI. When the thing you're building could fundamentally change the world, being slightly faster is not worth being wrong. OpenAI didn't believe that threshold had been reached. Or maybe they did, but they didn't care. It's easy to say, we value safety. It's different to fund a safety team, pay them well, give them veto power. When you fire the safety team, you've answered the question, what do we actually value? Not, what do we say we value, but what are you willing to spend money on? What are you willing to bet the company on? OpenAI bet on speed, and they did it publicly, irreversibly, with no hedge. That tells you what they believe. When you're in a race, every moment of caution feels like losing. Every safety review feels like an opponent getting ahead. Slowing down for careful thought feels like weakness. Races have a way of becoming self-fulfilling prophecies. Everyone speeds up because everyone else is speeding up. And suddenly, caution becomes not just slower, but impossible. You can't ask, are we building this right? When your competitor just shipped. You can only ask, how do we ship faster? OpenAI firing the safety team is a signal. We're not taking the time to ask if we're building this right. We're only asking how we ship faster. And that signal travels through the entire ecosystem. This isn't like previous innovations. We can't iterate on AGI if it goes wrong. We can't patch it. We can't roll back the deployment. If AGI is misaligned or unpredictable and we've built it without safety infrastructure, we don't get a second chance. So, the choices made this week by OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, Meta, those choices determine not just their companies, they determine the trajectory of human history. It sounds dramatic, but it's also factually true. And some of those companies are choosing, we'll figure out alignment when AGI is already here. That's not a strategy. That's hope. And hope is not a security architecture. The framework is speed versus caution, chosen irreversibly, with maximum consequences. And the moment we're in is the moment when the companies building AGI decided that being first mattered more than being careful. That's not a tech story. That's a civilization story. So here we are. OpenAI fired their safety team. The justification, if you read between the lines, safety was the bottleneck to AGI. And AGI is more important than safety. And the rest of the ecosystem is watching. Anthropic is saying, We're building this differently. We believe safety is the constraint, and working within it is better. Google is trying to play both sides, racing for AGI but also maintaining safety infrastructure. Meta is saying, we're open sourcing everything, so safety is everyone's problem now. And the government is realizing, by the time regulation works, this will already be decided. Here's the honest question. Which of these approaches is right? I don't know. Nobody does. But I know this. OpenAI just made the choice that they're willing to build AGI without guardrails to get there faster. That decision is now baked in. It's irreversible, and it changes what all of us should be thinking about in 2026. Specifically, you should be thinking, if AGI arrives and nobody has spent 5 years thinking, what could go wrong? If AGI arrives and the people who ask uncomfortable questions have all been fired or reassigned, if AGI arrives because a company chose speed over safety, then the future isn't determined by that technology. It's determined by the choices that were made when it was still possible to choose. And those choices were made this week. Here's the principle that sticks with you. We are not watching the race to AGI. We are watching the choice about what kind of race it will be. And the companies are answering, the kind where safety is optional. Let me summarize what we covered. OpenAI fired its entire safety team this week. This happened while they announced AGI might arrive in 3 years. 5 different groups are now affected. If you build on their APIs, enterprises that invested in compliance, competitors who now have advantage, regulators who lost their window, and all of us building the future. The principle underneath, speed was chosen over caution, irreversibly, with maximum consequences. This tells us something about the world being built. And that something is, safety is optional now. Tomorrow, I want to look at what this means for the companies trying to build AGI the right way. Because while OpenAI is sprinting, Anthropic is playing a different game entirely. And that difference might matter more than you think. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I'm Brandon, from Brandon AI Insights. We're living through the decisions that will define the next decade. Stay informed. I'll see you tomorrow.